Thank you. Thank you so much. Hang on, let me turn that screen off. Merry Christmas. Are you guys all ready to deck your halls? I'm excited to share with you all of the little techniques that I'm going to show you to create this fun wreath. I'll put it on the camera in a second. It's using our scoring board and trimmer tool. And there's all sorts of things. You can do boxes, you can make your cards, you can do all sorts of scoring, you can do banners and tags. But the project that we're going to be working with today is this fun little wreath. And you'll have a better view of it when I put it down for the overhead camera. But it's using rosettes, all different sizes, and also using our Infinite Doodles die set. Infinite Doodles die set is there comes in 2 different sets. We have this one, and this one is number 1 and number 2. This one, I believe, 59 dies in the set. It's amazing. And all these little pieces that you'll see, the things that you can create with this are unbelievable. So you're going to be amazed at the projects that you're going to be able to see either on our Sizzix website. We have a hub for the Infinite Doodles and the scoring board and trimmer tool, just to show you some fun projects that you can create with this tool, and the possibilities are endless. So I'm Debbie. I'm on the creative design team at Sizzix, and I love what I do every single day with all of my favorite people here in this building, and nothing better than playing with projects and product all day long. So if they want to go ahead and turn the camera to the overhead, then I'll get started, and I'll put my glasses on. So the scoring board and trimmer tool, we have the area here that you're going to be cutting. So you would slide your paper through. There's all sorts of different ways of creating the rosettes, but just to show you some basic steps of this tool, the blade is underneath here. You slide it here. You have your positions here, whether you're going to be doing a metric or the US. I obviously keep it on the US because that's where we are, but your measurements are here. You can flip the ruler over and do the metrics also. So we have the imperial and the metric. So you can just guide it here. Your markings are right there. Go ahead and, oops, sorry, hold it down and then bear down on the blade and it'll slice it perfectly. If you're going to be scoring it, you're going to go ahead and lift up this here. It's a dial. And then you're going to, sorry, bring it down. And then you'll see your markings here for your scoring. So for the rosettes, it depends on the size that you're going to be doing. I did obviously a variety of sizes here. If you're going to be doing, just say a 3-inch rosette, the final rosette is 3 inches, you're going to cut your paper into a 1.5-inch strip. Because what it's going to be doing is you're going to be doing 2 of these, scoring it this way, an accordion fold, and I'll show you. But 2 1.5 inches will create a full 3-inch rosette. I've used the scallop circle. It's one of our die sets. It comes with multiple size scallop circles to be cutting. And I just did that just to give a little sturdiness because you'll need something to hide your adhesive in the center of your rosette when you're all done. And then with the Infinite Doodles, this little Santa here, it's using some of the pieces that come in that 59-piece die set. And these are the pieces that I use. These are just some of the 59. But looking at it up close, you can see all the dies that come with this. So the possibilities are endless depending on what you're going to be creating. Just to give you a quick little peek at how I created the little snow on his little cap here. I use this piece here and just use a little area of it. So just that's all you needed. This little hook here, that's what I did to create his hat. So I'm going to show you how to assemble that when we get to that point, but we're going to get started with the rosettes. So there's a variety of ways that you can create your rosettes. You can either do the scoring on the full sheet and score it all the way down as you need it, wherever your markings are. So the larger the rosette, the wider you want to have your score lines, your pleats, only because, well, you could do it tinier, but you'll need extra pieces because the fan fold of the area needs to be closer together and longer pieces to create a larger rosette. So I'll show you some pieces later on the different variety, but I like when the rosette spacing the fan fold when it's a little bit wider on a larger one. In a tinier rosette, I like to have a smaller guideline there. So I already started to score this just because you don't need to, in the 45 minutes, watch me score the entire piece for every single rosette. So I already started on this one. And your scoring board and trimmer tool comes with your tool that you need to do for your scoring. Like I said, it comes with a blade, and then there are all these little punches that you can do, whether you're creating boxes, cards, envelopes, or banners. These are just little added embellishments and some parts for the envelopes that you would need. So what I did for this one is I scored it at the 1 in every inch mark, and then I went back and scored it halfway point, just because it's better for me eye to eyeball it. So I already did that end, and then let me go ahead and do the next part here. It just depends on how you want to do it. Everybody kind of has their own way to do it. I just like to do it halfway one way and then turn it around and bring it back down. So that's all done that way. So I could do it like this and then trim it this way and it's ready to go. Or I could do each individual strip and then score it as I want it to go. So this is how I decided to do it this way, just to save a little bit of time. So I've done this one at the 1/4 inch mark, and you need 2 strips of this. And this one here, I believe is, let's see, 3 inches. So it's a 1.5. So this will be a 3-inch rosette. So this is going to 1.5 inch strip each. So what I like to do, some people do it differently, but I like to do, so mountains and valleys is what I call it. So if you can kind of tell, this is the mountain and valley, every other one, kind of like the accordion fold when you were a kid and you did the fan fold to do your little fans in class when you weren't paying attention to the teacher. Anyway, so I like to have the part that's the mountain hooking onto the part that's the valley. Instead of doing it like this, this kind of hides the area where your adhesive is, so you don't see the glue showing at all. And to have a little more stability and strength in your rosette, I recommend that you use a hot glue gun. Unless you have a really strong adhesive tape, I like to use a hot glue gun just because I know it'll stay put. So I'm just going to put a little strip of the hot glue there. And then I'm just going to latch it onto the area. So there's the mountain going into the valley. I'm going to lay it down like that. There's so many fun things that you can do with the rosettes. You can use them do them tiny and have them as cake toppers. You can do them on a box. So I'm going to show you some fun examples before I finish. Okay, so now I have this big long strip, and I'm just going to continue to just crease in the area that I glued, just because that wasn't originally connected, just to make sure it's adhered and stays nice and strong in a nice strong fold on the accordion. So there's all pretty set, ready to go. Okay, let me get this out of the way, only because I don't want to get glue on my tool. Let me bring my silicone mat over, get my little Santa out of the way with all his little pieces. So this is the part, it's not tricky, but once you do multiple ones, you'll be able to get a better hang of it. Because it kind of jumps back and latches onto itself and curls around. So it depends on how you want to do it. So you can either start gripping it around like this and just kind of go as you like that. But what I like to do is I like to connect it. So here's the valley and here's the mountain. If by chance your score lines aren't matching up and the one is not a mountain, or it's 2 valleys or 2 mountains, go ahead and trim off the other ones. So then they'll be the exact opposite. This is perfect. I'm going to go ahead and put some hot glue here and then hook these 2 together. These are fun little additions on a banner, on a tag. You can add it to, like I said, a gift box instead of using a ribbon or a gift bag. It's very, very cute rosettes, depending on the size, or just do multiple ones. And they don't have to be Christmas. Don't put your tool away or your cardstock away, because there's so many fun colors that you can use. And you can do it for a baby shower, a bridal shower, or even New Year's. If you're doing a New Year's Eve party, do the same idea, but do it in gold and silvers or using our opulent paper. That's kind of a fun idea. So this is all connected. The 2 sides are perfectly adhered to each other. Now this is the tricky part. So I'm just going to show you how it just starts to run away with itself and kind of bounces apart. Get that glue out of there. So you're just going to turn it. Depending on if when you adhered it, if the textured side of your paper is going the wrong direction, then just flip it over. But so you're going to just kind of push it down on one side and just kind of gather it with your fingers. See how it starts to bounce away with all the little pleating. And just gather it with your fingers and just kind of hold it still and bring it around. Keep continuing to bring it around. Once you get the hang of it, don't get frustrated. But once you get the hang of it, it's kind of fun. The narrower pleats are the part that are harder to control, I should say, just because they bounce away and they're so tiny. So as you can see, it almost looks like a little lampshade. So I'm going to make sure I have this handy, which is one of my scallop circles, and then my hot glue gun ready also. And you're just going to gather it until that center hole is enough for it to cover your, or enough for your scallop circle to cover. And then you just want to be careful with the hot glue. And I just do one little spot there just to get that side down. And I'm going to hold that just for a second. If you can, if you're able to do it all at the same time, that's better. But my hand was in the way, so I just did that one side. This guy's making me giving me a run for my money. And just bring it forward to the center. And just hold it down so you can feel your hot glue cooling down. We have our little fingertip protectors, which are great, especially if your hands are right by the hot glue in direct contact, which is what you don't want it to be. So I'm just going to hold it down a little bit more. And if I can feel it's dried a little bit, now I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to do another one on this side just to add a little more stability. You can either put it on the actual on the actual scallop or on the rosette. And these are using our festive cardstock. It's on the Michael's website. We also have the Opulent, which is, we have a rose gold and it comes with all different finishes. We have a Ivory Opulent, which is almost like a white. There's a glitter, there's a pearl, there's very shiny gloss. We have regular gold, silver, and I believe that's it. And then we have a festive, and then we also have a muted set. They're absolutely beautiful. So this is a side that didn't turn out very well, so that'll be the back side. And then I'm just going to go ahead and just the parts that maybe flatten out a little bit, you can pinch it as you go. So that one's all set and ready. How fun is that? And then I could go ahead and put a die cut of the number 25 in the center just to create, you know, a little more of a festive look to it. Do it in a glittery paper or do it in a gold or just a contrasting color. So that's a really fun technique. Another idea is I wanted to share with you is that using one of the punches that are part of the die set. So, I mean, part of the tool. So I've already started a few, like I said, I pre-pleated some parts just to give you an idea, just so you don't have to see me going through the entire thing, the trimming and the scoring. But these little punches here, this is the one that's the envelope. They just come right out, or I can punch it while it's in my tool here. But what I did is I matched up the every other area to create this punch design. And this will be the just kind of the edged border of my rosette. So I'm just going to put it down there like that. I've already done a few of them. And then I'm just going to push this in here. So what I did is every other. So for this one particular one, I did it on the mountain, which is the part that's pointed up. And I'm just going to line that up to that center score line marking in the middle. For me, it's a little bit easier just to do it. You don't see my head. And I'm just going to mark it, push it in, and punch it. It's going to create that little scoring, I mean, not scoring, that little design edge on that pointed part. So every other piece will have this, every other score line will have this little edge here. So then I'm going to create the same exact rosette, but just having that little border on there. Now for something else, if I wanted to do it with a hole, I could do the same thing and just say I want to do it on the valley. So I'm going to push this paper all the way in. And that'll create just a little technique, just a little, not embellishment, but a little added feature onto the edges of this one. And I'll put that together afterwards. So here's this one here. Let me get my tool out so I don't get the hot glue on there. Bring this stuff back over. So here's the the mountain and I'm going to hook it onto the valley part. So I had already punched all these earlier before it started. So let me put the little bit of hot glue on here. Match that up to the score line. Hold that down. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and match these down. So here's the part that's going to go down, latch it on there. And like I said before, if it was the opposite, if it was like this, then I would trim this and have it hooked back onto the other side. So you can just trim off one thing. It's not going to change the style of your rosette at all if you trim down one score line off. And just match that up. And since this was the edge, I'm just going to trim this piece off. This was the edge, the end of it, where it didn't get the punch. Okay, so that's all ready. Now I'm going to make sure that this is on the outside, and the same idea. See how much easier it is and more understanding and forgiving is using a larger score line rosette. The tiny ones, they're so fun and so much more detail, but they're a lot, they just kind of jump around as you saw earlier. So I will do our peppermint size colors, peppermint color rosette. I mean, what you call it, scallop circle. And I have enough room to put it on the rosette itself. Hold that down. It's kind of warm, so I will use that. I'm glad all my burn marks from cooking Thanksgiving dinner have healed, so you guys don't have to see them on camera. The tragedy of the oven on Thanksgiving Day. Okay, let me turn this over. Ah, wasn't quite dry. You gotta wait till it's fully dry before you flip it. So while I'm holding it, I just want to show you the fun little things creating. So for the different pieces in Infinite Doodles, it's kind of fun to just to cut a bunch of pieces, even if you don't know what you're doing. I have learned from one of my friends, Alexis, that I work with. She has a fun jar just of all her pieces that she's cut when she's creating projects and changes her mind with different colors and flowers. But she has these jars that are so fun and full of cute die cuts. So I've kind of learned from her, and I do the same thing. I just cut it in all sorts of colors that I want, and I decide which ones I'm going to use or not use. But you don't throw it out. You always can use it, especially because this one I have an adhesive backing on it. But that's what I use for the little gifts that the Santa's holding here. And I just cut them all in multiple colors, and they're already ready whenever I need them, whether I'm going to use it as gifts or something else. But it's just one of the little tricks and tips that I learned from sitting across from her. And then I'm just going to put another one on the back. This back side may or may not be visible, but just in case it is, I'll put a smaller one that's a fun color. This is our pink fizz. It's also from the Festive Cardstock color combination. Okay, so how fun is that? So we've gotten this one and this one here. And let me go ahead and punch the rest of this just really quickly, just because it's a fun one that you can see. So I punched it in the valleys. And if anybody has any questions or need me to answer or repeat, or just want me to stop talking and just teach. This is such a fun tool. I mean, the sizes of the boxes. So like I said, on the Sizzix website, the hub will show you, if you go on our website and then click on scoring board and trimmer, then it'll take you to the hub and it'll show you how to create all different size boxes. I mean, it's so much fun. You guys can make your own boxes. You can coordinate it with the colors of the party or whatever. So here's the other one I want to show you. This is just a really quick the way I score it. So I scored all of this one here, and then I partially scored this one. But I did score this one. I just partially folded it. So I like to either just, I do this so often that, I mean, instead of having to fan fold it in the air like we used to, you just kind of guide it really quickly like this, and it just, and then crease it hard, whether you're gonna, sometimes I actually step on it if it's a really big, heavy piece of cardstock. Oops, that one got a little out of control. And then I'm just gonna crease it. Just make sure they're all evenly firmly creased. And then I'm going to punch it again on this side. Now, you obviously wouldn't be able to do this if your pleat lines are really tiny and skinny like this one, just because the hole punch is a little bit larger and it will go into the next. I mean, it might be a whimsical kind of funky technique, but I think it would, since the hole is a little bit larger, it might go into the score, the pleating on the one next to it. So it's best on these larger ones. Okay. Okay, you want to make sure that the whatchamacallit, can't even think of it, the textured side of the paper is going against the same direction. So here's an example of what I was talking about, how the lines aren't matching up. So instead of this gluing it like this, it would be too many layers of thickness. I mean, too many score lines of thickness. So I'm just going to trim off this one particular score line here. So then this will match up onto that one. And I'll just trim off so my little hole will still be visible. Okay. I'll do the same on this one here. And I'll match it down on that side. Now I could have done the same idea. I could have done the this edge and also the hole punches, but just one or the other, just like just to give you guys an idea of how it all comes together. Okay, now larger pleats, it'll be a lot easier to manage. And with all the pleating, it's almost like it almost softens the paper a little bit, just because it's easier to manipulate and it's not bouncing around because the pleats are so much bigger. Look how pretty that is. Pull that down. And the larger the rosette, the larger scallops or square, whatever you're going to be putting in the middle. I suggest a circle or a square. I mean, circle or scallop circle. The larger your rosette, the larger you'll want your center scallop to be. And then these are the little holes the little things that fell out when I punched it. Now, this is a fun little confetti. Might annoy the person that's receiving the card, but it's always fun to have a little party in an envelope. Who doesn't love to receive something fun in the mail? Pull that down a little bit longer. And I'm going to just assemble the little Santa Claus and add just some of the rosettes to the loom that I use. So what I used while I'm letting this dry, I'll just talk through what supplies I also use. So in the Michaels needlepoint aisle, or needlework aisle, I grabbed, this is a 12-inch loom. So obviously you can do different sizes. This would be super cute, smaller, a 6-inch one, hanging it on somebody's door, do a little birthday festive one and hang it on somebody's door, whoever's birthday, if your little girl, little boy's birthday is coming up, they wake up in the morning, there's one of these cute little things hanging on their door. How fun would that be? So it's a fun little thing that you can do for any size. You can just use a wire rim. You don't have to use an embroidery loom, but this is makes it such a fun stick in here. It's just a fun little added decor piece that doesn't have to be any specific occasion. It could be just because put on a neighbor's door, or they just had a baby, and just a fun little thing. So here we have that one. How cute is that? So that's that. That one's all set and ready to go. Now I'm going to start assembling. I think I'm done with showing you. Let me just show you really quick. This is the Opulent paper. This is the Opulent Ivory. So this is one that I had already scored just in case. But here it is with narrower pleats. So It's very thick. It's a lot thicker. So this one might bounce around. You just really have to be slow and steady with this because this cardstock, it's great cardstock, but the glitter adds a little bit of thickness. So it'll be very strong, sturdy, good rosette. So this is fun in all sorts of different sizes and colors, whether you're using the glitter red in the festive pack or assorted of silver and the white, or all different colors or finishes of our Opulent. This cardstock is really fun to play with for rosettes. Okay, so for the Santa, like I said, I went ahead and I used our Infinite Doodles, the set number 1. Now you're looking at this when you get it and you're thinking, wow, what would I do with that? So like I said, go to the hub and you will die when you see all the different projects that have been created with this. Because when you look at a project, for example, Pete, who designed this die set, he did some amazing projects. And using this one here, which is this piece here, he did a pizza. And he did another one that was a hot dog. I mean, if you can, when you see what he's done, it's amazing. So for the Santa Claus, I used this one here for his body. And also the same one for his beard. But then the smaller one with the skin tone, I did this one here, his mustache, his cheeks. I don't know if you can see his cheeks. I did his little cheeks there. And then parts of the gift, the ones that I use for the gifts, is what I use for his eyebrows. One of these little strips here. And then I just used a fine tip black pin for his eyes. So that's that. For his belt, I use this piece here, the black part of his belt. And this one here, when you die cut it, it'll cut out you'll get that center piece when it falls out, but you also get the little border. So it's a perfect thing for his belt buckle. This is the fluff around the base of his suit. This is the cap. Pardon me, pick this up. This is the snow from his little cap that I showed you earlier. Somewhere on this table is the little white. Oh, here it is for the snow on top, the little pom-pom on top of his cap. And then for his hands, same skin tone, whatever you use for his face. I did his hands. These are almost like little hearts. And then just the little pieces that I cut from here to create his the gifts that he's carrying. And I think that's everything. Oh, and his feet, his legs and his feet I use, and his arms. I use these pieces. Those are his little shoes. So how fun. I mean, who would have looked at this and said, oh, that looks like Santa's hat? Pete did, and I just copied it. Anyway, so that's the part that I used to embellish one of the cute little rosette centers. So let me go ahead and put him all together. I put together the tinier pieces just because I didn't want to have all the pieces here. And if I drop one, then you know how that goes as crafters. So it's easier to have things set and ready to go, especially because all of you that are watching, I'm hoping as soon as you turn off the class is over, you are going to start creating with your new tool that I'm hoping you've got or running out to get. Okay. So let me I put adhesive backing on this. You could use any type of wet glue. This is his little pom-pom for his hat. And I put adhesive backing on this. This just makes it easier for the final pieces here, right? The final pieces when you're creating these little small pieces just makes it easier, especially if they're really, really detailed. So for the gifts, when I cut these out, I just use some of the strips and cut them tinier, shorter, I should say, as the ribbon. And then one of the other little tiny parts, this piece here, that was the final bow on the top of the gift. And I just cut that out all out in white. And now I didn't put an adhesive backing on his cap, so I'm just going to do that now. And depending on where he wants to have it set, put it right there. What excess glue got on his face? Don't want to burn Stanley. He's got some busy days ahead. mean, look how cute that all comes together. Like you could look at this and think, oh, those could be clouds, or this could be tiny little mountainscape for a little tiny scene, and you know, smoke coming out of a chimney, and or this could be the bricks of a chimney and Christmas trees. Just depends on what color you cut it. Cut it out all sorts of colors and just stare at it and say, oh, that could be this and this can be this. There's so much fun to just come up with different ideas. Okay, so I'm going to put this little jolly guy on top of here. I could have used regular adhesive tape. I could use, I could pop them up to be dimensional. Actually, you know what I want to do? I changed my mind. I'm going to put another color on here, just so it stands out a little bit better. Actually, I like that little border of the white showing underneath. Last minute changes, sometimes it's even better. So how fun is that? I actually trimmed that a little too closely on that edge, but we won't tell anybody. Okay, let me put these off to the side. And then I'm just going to start adhering just some of them. You don't need to see a whole scene because you can get the idea. So I'm just going to position them down. So you can either put the glue on the actually, I think I will put it on the actual loom, because if I put it on here and it doesn't lay down correctly, at least I know if it's on the loom. Is that what's called? Not a loom, sorry, a hoop. Embroidery hoop. Okay. Another one up there. And I've made some other ones in advance. So you actually don't have to do the entire, actually put that one there instead. You don't have to do the entire hoop all the way around. You can just do a partial area and just kind of embellish these little sides here with maybe some greenery, or wrap it around with some kind of a cording. So you don't have to fill it completely with rosettes. And you can just have one embellishment on one of them. You don't have to do an embellishment on all of them. You can just do them on a couple. A few other ones that I made earlier. Here. Put this final one right here. You can add a little ribbon at the top to hook it onto like a wall, not a wall, like a hook that's already, like if you already have a hook somewhere, or hanging off of a window, you know, with a little latch for your window opening and closing. That's something that you can add it to also, or just use the actual hoop. And if it's covering this area here, then you can just pin it on a wall. At my house, sometimes some of my regular smaller wall decor pieces, I take those off and the nail is still in the wall, obviously, but I just put up something that's more festive for the season. So I've already got the latch on, I already got the hook or the nail in the wall, so I just replace it with something a little more fun. Hold that down. And that's it. That just gives you an idea, all the fun things that you can do to create rosettes with your scoring board and trimmer tool using the Infinite Doodles, the little pieces here. I don't remember how many pieces I used, but with a 59 piece die set to create this Santa out of just using a handful of them. I mean, it's so much fun, and just let your creativity and your mind wander, and the things that you're going to be coming up with are just amazing. So make sure you tag Michael's with their hashtag. I believe it's Make It With Michael's, hashtag Sizzix. We would love to see what you've created, and it's so much fun to share it all with you, and have you have as much fun with it as we do. So let me put this off to the side. If you have any questions about how I created anything or why I did it, or any suggestions or questions about the product, feel free to put them in the chat, or somebody can interrupt me and I can answer them for you. But let me show you some other projects before we go, just so you can see some other things that have been also created with this tool. So I love a party where everything ties in. So from the invitation to the actual event, it sets the mood. Everybody's excited. You know your colors that you're going to be playing with. So this is showing you a banner that my friend Alexis had created with our festive pattern paper and our scoring board and trimmer tool. Like I said, you can create a banner with our tool. You can create tags as well. So our pattern paper is double-sided. So how fun is this banner? You could do it all sorts of sizes. You could do the pennant size this way, or you can do the typical bunting with the kind of has 2 points at the end. Depends on what type of banner you're going to be creating. But you could spell out somebody's name. It could be a baby shower. It could just be birthday, happy birthday, whatever. So this would be a decorative piece at the party. And then you can make a box. This is all on the same tool. Create a box using the same colors as it carried through from the invitation to the decorations, their party favors, or the gift that you're giving the person if you're going to that party. Get the same cardstock or just get the same type of color she used, and then create a fun little gift box for her. Do a smaller rosette, add it to the box. This could be, if you're the hostess of the party, do smaller rosettes and have it at their table with the little banner off of it, and it can be the place card. There's so many different things. I love carrying a theme from the beginning to the end of the party, and people remember it, and then they'll make sure they come to all your parties because they don't want to miss them. So the colors are so much fun. These are all made on that one tool. The lid, the box. So like I said, the hub on the Sizzix website, if you do the scoring board and trimmer tool and then inspiration, I believe that's how it works. But it'll show you exact size. You measure the item that you're going to be needing a box for, and then it'll tell you what your starting cardstock size should be cut to, and then where to score it. And then you'll be so excited you won't want to put it down. I love mine. I keep mine out all the time just because it's so much fun. So how fun is this? Jewelry, roll up some money in there, makeup, whatever. It's just a fun little gift box. Chocolates, love it. So this is just one of the sizes. You could do cubes, you could do flats. They're so much fun. So that's that one.
Hey Debbie, we have a question.
Uh-huh.
Do you mind showing us how to score one more time?
No, not at all.
Thank you. And we do have another one. How would you attach it to the wire frame?
How would you attach it to a wireframe?
Yes,
What I would do is I would put a thin, I would make the wire a little more substantial. So I would probably either do wider strips of paper and adhere that to your wire. So that gives a little bit of a wider base for your rosettes. Or you could wrap your wire with a ribbon, and that'll just give it a little more, make it a little more substantial. So something will hook onto it. Because, well, it also depends on the thickness of your cardstock. So I think even if you didn't add anything to it, the thickness of your cardstock, and if you put enough of I wouldn't use a wet glue. I would use a hot glue because the hot glue will dry quick and stronger. Wet glue, you'll be sitting there for a while, and I think with the weight of your rosette, the possibility of it falling over, like, let's see, say this is the wire. If you're using a wet glue, the weight of your paper just might pull it away. But if your wire is either coated with, covered with the cards or some type of paper that gives a wider base, then it'll adhere to it. But like I said, I definitely would recommend a hot glue, like I'm using the hot glue gun, whether it's onto a ribbon that's adhered to your wire or paper adhered to your wire. But I actually think that maybe the hot glue on wire might hold this strong enough, because it is a pretty substantial hot glue, and that gives a really strong hold. So I think it still should work as long as your rosettes aren't too big. I hope that helps. So for the scoring, so I believe when you get your tool, it comes like this, and then you're just going to want to lift it up and bring it down. Because if I do it like this is markings of where I could score it, but you want to have this whole area, because if you have it up there, it's just easier. You don't have this, there's no score lines for you here there's no grooves for you to score it here. So lifting this up, bringing this down, this whole area is where the score lines are. the grooves are, I should say. So it's marked a quarter, half, oh, 3/4, 1, a quarter, half, 3/4, 1. So, and then there's the markings in between also. So wherever you want to score it. So this is the half mark. This is every 1.5. You just want to hold it down and it'll stop. This is like your guard. It'll stop right there. And the tool is right in there. So when you get your packaging, you might not see it. And it'll spell out everything, where everything is. And you have a diagram of telling you this is what this is for, this is what these are for. And then the actual videos are on YouTube. So there's you won't have any trouble figuring it out. It's so much fun. And once you get the hang of it, all your friends are going to be jealous. It's so much fun. It's one of my favorite tools. Just because the things you can create with it, boxes, cards, bags. So the point of this just goes right into the groove there. And just say I'm like, oh darn, this is kind of wide. I wish I didn't do it as wide. I've changed my mind. I want it to be at the 1/4 inch instead of the 1/2 inch. I'm just going to go down to the center. And now I have smaller scores. And then I can just start folding it that way. The thicker the paper, not the better the rosette, but the firmer your rosette, by the thicker your paper is. Because if you do a thinner paper, it'll work. You just don't want to bear down too hard because you don't want to tear your paper if you're doing like a thin type of a copy paper. So it depends on how strong you want it to be, how narrow you want it to be. All the markings are right there and visible and ready for you to try out. But envelopes, this can also create envelopes. Go to the hub, you'll be amazed at the things that you can go. And when when you have a card, you make a card and you're like, darn it, my envelope is way too big or way too small. Put your card on our, we have a little generator and it'll tell you if you say your card is 3x2, which is like a little bit like a business card size, it'll tell you the size envelope that you need to create and exactly where to score it and all that. So it's a great tool. I love it. We all love it. We have so much fun with it. And what you can create with it, especially during the holidays, custom sized boxes for your whatever your item is and have your card match the packaging that you did for your gift. It's the best. And this is a little, hope that answers the 2 questions. Same idea, did a little rosette, put the number 25. It's a cute little ornament. You could do it. You could put the person's name on there. That's a fun little thing, just changing up the colors a little bit. Here's a very big rosette using a 2-tone center. Also done on this scoring board and trimmer tool, a little tag, made it a little longer, folded it up to create a pocket. This is using our pattern paper from the Festive Cardstock also. It's 2-sided, so it's solid on one side, pattern on the other, and then creates a little pocket, and there's a little tag to hang off of the gift. Same idea, same cardstock, I should say, but look how fun that is, doubling up one rosette. With the tag to match, put that on the outside of a gift. You don't need a bow. You don't need a ribbon. Fun little cake topper. You could put somebody's name. You could put 2024 if you're doing it in different colors for the new year. Do them in smaller for cupcake toppers. Really cute little idea. Here's a larger rosette using one of our dimensional domes. This is also the little, I don't know if you can see it with reflection. These are different pieces from the Infinite Doodles set number 1, using all the parts to make a tiny little Rudolph. But this is that little part that I said that'd be cute for little pieces of snow, little loom. What is the word? I can't even think of it. Flumes of smoke as his little antlers. So these are just different parts, and I did a little dome and shaking little pattern, or shaking little our sequins and beads. It's a cute little ornament, hanging it on a door or on the tree. And then creating boxes and bags and rosettes from the same tool. That's another thing. This is a bag, and it's all on the generator to show you what you can create. So this is the same idea as the buckle I used for the Santa's belt, but it also comes in a larger size. So, and then there's that little fluff that I used for his hat. Just used the full piece and then added another additional piece to create, it's kind of like a little gift bag Santa suit. And a rosette with a little gift, all done on this tool, just depending on the size that you tell the generator that you're going to be using. Couple more things is this little box. This is a fun little box also, just a size that I tried and created. And then I use the Infinite Doodles set number 2. Now these are different things that you can cut. All these little pieces will fall out. So whether you're going to use the negative piece, which would be this, or you're going to use the little tiny pieces that fell out. Remember, you don't want to throw them out. Those can be little confettis depending on how you're going to, what the colors you're going to be using. Just mix it up a little bit. And then I did a couple more pieces and just trimmed it down so it'll work on the panel there. And a tiny rosette. How fun is that? So this is something you could do. You could also, once you cut it, have your piece, use it as a stencil. It's so much fun. So that one almost looks like an animal print. And this one looks like little flurries of snow. This could be little stripes on an animal. This can be raindrops. It can be whatever you want it to be. So I use the panels for this little box. Also, the box was made on the tool. And then there's a cute little lid. Put a few chapsticks in there. It's a great little gift box. And then lastly, one of my projects is I cut out this out of our shrink plastic. Use markers to create more of a color to the, because our shrink plastic comes in a few colors, gold, silver, white, and black. And but I did in the white, and then before I shrunk it, I colored the back side of it with pale pink and also our red. And then when it shrunk down to this size. And I thought, oh my gosh, those look like gumdrops. So then I took some of our crystal glaze and added it and made little gumdrop earrings. Wow, how fun is that? So the little findings are in the jewelry aisle at Michael's, and they also on their website sell our shrink plastic. So that's another thing. These thinlets will cut our shrink plastic. So another gift idea. How about making these, giving them as a gift, putting them in a little box that you made from your scoring board and trimmer tool? Nobody else loves a gift that's handmade more than your friends. So they know that you've made it with love. Anyway, I think that is it. If there's any questions, I would be happy to answer them. But if you want to go ahead and turn it to the overhead, I can say Merry Christmas and thank you for joining us. Okay, I hope everybody loved what they saw. I'm hoping that you are excited to get your scoring board and trimmer tool and your Infinite Doodles set in your hands so you can get crafting. Let's see, today's the 7th. You have 18 days to get your gifts going. You're going to have so much fun with it. You're going to love it as much as all of us in this building do. I wish you all a happy holidays. We look forward to seeing all the projects that you create. And thanks so much for joining us.